Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Play part for Sector 2, which is a tight, twisty, turny parts on the inside of the track. So we should see some really good racing today.
First of all, hello everybody. I was looking at the circuits on the calendar, and I've noticed that with the first round being at Daytona, it's very similar in terms of a track layout. It's got a fast section and a really twisty section, just like obviously the Roval road course is a lot sort of quicker because of the longer straights, but Interlagos isn't that much difference in terms of a long fast section from the final corner to about turn 4, and a tight twisty section where if you catch your back markers, you're going to have to take your time in this hour-long race.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously this is a nine rounds series season with 1 hour races with a mandatory pit stop in the way. We're obviously, as Dave was saying there, first round was at Daytona, and at the moment we'll have a look at the champions standing after the 1 round, which saw an exciting end to the first race, which saw Bogdan Donovich, Leon Penn and Chris Beats going 6/1000ths of a second going over the line at the end of the race with Sven Newman just behind him. So, you know, certainly a really close race at the end of that. And within the team championship, we have Course In Racing at the top of the standings at the moment. So yeah, it's all to play for at the moment, Dave, and really good, interesting race. And the good thing about this series is it's full of pro drivers, so the minimum standard to get in to this championship is 2.2k iRacing, so they haven't got to worry about the amateur drivers on track. So it's all about the pros, battling it against the pros.
Exactly, and when we go back to my point about back markers, there's a good chance around Daytona that if everybody had a clean race and a good race, you may not have caught them, but the shortness of the Interlagos circuit really does bring them into play, especially around the pit stop stage, where if somebody's going that little bit longer but is a little bit slower, they may just start to play havoc with the leaders of the race. So they will be still quite quick drivers, even if they're lower down in this field.
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing about this champion as well, the prizes are normally only out for the top 3 in the championship, but in this championship, the top 10 get prizes from our very kind sponsors of SDK Gaming and Virtual Racing School, and Apex Racing Academy, who kindly sponsored the prizes for tonight. And there's some really good prizes, as well as the team prize for the top team. So, you know, there's something to fight for in the top 10 positions within the championship.
Exactly. You know, like you say, they're all pro drivers, they're all here to win something. And being the top 10, we have 29 drivers in the field tonight. And that means that 19 of them aren't going to win anything by the end of the season. So there is going to be, while you still think, top 10, there's quite a few will win something, over half the field won't.
Yeah, so it makes it for really competitive racing. As we saw last week, there was mini battles throughout the whole field, and unfortunately, you know, the season 1, season 2 of the standard GT trophy was run by Gaten Anger, and unfortunately, the last race he fell foul to a couple of incidences on lap 1 going into turn 3, and then obviously finally got taken out in the bus stop. So, you know, unfortunately for him, he's normally a very consistent driver in this championship, always normally in the top 5 in seasons 1 and 2, but has certainly lost his drop round score and now has got it all to play for going into this round. So he can't have any more poor rounds, or else that's going to put his challenge for holding on to the GT Trophy Championship in jeopardy.
Yeah, the drop scores are always come in handy when you have that 1 or 2 bad rounds, but if you have a bad round early on, you've really got to keep the rest of the season clean but quick. You need them top results. I mean, I'm just looking at the qualifying times at the moment, and it seems to be pretty much a BMW domination of the top 10, with only Lewis Ward in the Porsche creeping up into 5th place at the moment. So now down, I think, in 8th on the timing screen. So it's going to be a tough day for anybody not in a BMW at the moment.
It's quite surprising. I mean, I was expecting the BMW to be fast at Daytona, and it will be fast in certain parts of this track. But you know, the Porsches and the Lamborghinis, which are like a really good all-around car. You would expect them to come better on the infield section, where the BMW might be quicker in the straight line speed. But exactly like you're saying, at the moment it's being dominated. Out of the top 10, we've got 8 BMWs and we've only got 2 Porsches with no Lamborghinis in there at the moment. So we are currently only got 3 minutes left of qualifying. At the moment, Sven Newman tops the qualifying standard with a 1:31.305. With, you know, if you look at the timings within the tower, the top 15, in fact, no, the top 20 are all within a second. It just shows how close these pro guys are, and I think maybe some of it, Dave, is down to the setup the guys have chosen for this race.
It could very well be. I mean, I would guess, just to hazard a guess, it, a lot of drivers who are not expecting to be on the pole position will go for a slightly less draggy setup, try and get the overtaking done in the wider parts of the circuit, and then try and hold on through the middle as we see a car running very wide there at turn 4. But the setup's going to have to be a compromise, I think, for the quickest driver. And it'd be interesting to know them setups. Obviously, we don't know what they've put on the car, but yeah, we'll have to see what comes out on top at the end of the hour-long race.
Yeah, for sure. But knowing these pro drivers, they'll be running extremely low downforce to get that maximum speed coming over that start-finish straight, which is a really long straight on this track that, you know, is the prime overtaking point coming into the center S's into turn 1. So the guys will be obviously just tiptoeing around the infield as fast as they can, but it's quite hard to pass on that infield. So I'll be very surprised if any of the drivers have gone with any sort of downforce on the cars. I certainly expect them all to be running low to get maximum speed down this straight.
I would agree with you there. It's quite tight and twisty there in the midsection of the Interlagos circuit. Not really many places to overtake unless you take a sort of a dive bomb attempt. And being the pros they are, they won't want to be going in there early, trying to take a dive bomb, risk their cars early on with a whole race and a pit stop to have to do during it. At the moment, we're seeing a German 1-2 at the top with Newman and Winkler, the championship leader, in 3rd.
Yeah, 200ths of a second behind the pole sitter. So one of the things that we did see from the last race, Dave, was the pit stop strategies. So we saw Bogdan Moldovan come in early for his pit stop to try and get that undercut. And then we had Sven, I think it was Sven Newman and a few others that were driving in that positions, came in mid-race, round about the mid-race, and then we had Lewis, I think it was Lewis Penn and Chris Beats that actually went late. And, you know, Bogdan Molovic, Leon Penn and Chris Beats actually got advantage and managed to pull out a 2-3 second advantage over Sven Newman and the chasing pack from behind. You know, the tactical pit stop strategies within this race is going to play a big part in the outcome of it.
That's certainly true. With the, I mean, I don't know how deep the tyre wear sort of went round Daytona, but tyre wear in the mid section of this lap will be all important. It won't matter too much through the fast sections, but we'll just have to see how the drivers want to play it. You'll probably see a load of drivers pit at once, and that will be sort of the optimum with these being pro drivers.
Yeah, definitely, as we're coming to the end here of the qualifying. Bit of a change to this one. I think they're letting them do the last lap as long as they pass the start finish on a 10, as we are on board with Jank at the moment, Jan-Philippe Jank, who's currently down in 17th place and obviously takes that corner a little bit too wide, and that's another one to scrub off the card there for a failed lap on qualifying. But we have now finished our qualifying. Hopefully, who's that on the track?
Somebody pulling up at the end there. But yes, I think we've seen a driver go off there in Formula One. I think it was Kimi Räikkönen, couldn't find the gate to get out one time, but Janka was certainly heading the same direction.
Yeah, definitely. So we should now be seeing a more setup for the grid shortly, and we will run through the field as soon as they start gridding up.
Yeah, as we were saying before, with BMW's sort of dominating with the top 4 in qualifying, Leon Penn, who was on the podium last time out, the top Porsche in 5th, the top Lamborghini is John Derrick in 13th, and the top Mercedes, sorry, the only Mercedes is Thomas Myatt in 26th.
Yeah.
Also, we've got a Ferrari as well. Sorry, I didn't notice a Ferrari at the bottom with Alex Garat in 27th.
Yeah, so definitely is. Hopefully we start seeing them good. So we'll go through the field now. So in first place, Sven Newman, of course, in Racing 1. Second place, Carl Winkler. Third place, Bogdan Moldovan, who's the current championship Leader, Brandon Taboni in 4th, Leon Penn 5th, Milao Sutu 6th, Carl Calamari in 7th, Lewis Ward 8th, Hamo Grimstad in 9th, Gaten Anger in 10th, Florian Beer 11th, Michael Palic in 12th, John Derrick 13th, Otto Hereford 14th, Otto Hetta in 15th, Callum Garton 16th, Jan Philippe Jank in 17th, Kieran Smart 18th, Kasper Sorensen 19th, Dominic Engel in 20th, Matthias Beer 21st, Chris Beats 22nd, Ronald Grossman 23rd, and Richard Watkins in 24th. In 25th, Christian Fedini, 26th, Thomas Minot, 27th, Alexander Scarrett, 28th, Richard Genfenku, and 29th, Luke Reimer. So we've got some big hitters there down the bottom half of the field, namely Chris Beats, who's currently third in the championship, right down the field at the moment.
Yeah, it's a surprising qualifying for Chris. He, with the podium last time out, he would have been expecting a bit more, but again, we've got an hour-long race. Anything could happen in the early laps, and we seem to still have a few gaps on the grid waiting for drivers to join the grid. Wonder if we'll have any pit lane starters as well. I doubt it, but you never know.
We'll have to, but I'm sure there'll be a couple of them. But you know, one of the notice things is, of course, sim racing guys in 1 and 2, so they're going to control the start of this field. So hopefully, should get a good getaway and going into that first corner into the center S's, which is going to be a vital corner with this amount of cars going into that corner, Dave. So you know, everyone just needs to keep it clean, but we might see a few incidences going through the center S's.
Yeah, the camber on the center S doesn't sort of give to a clean start, really. It allows the drivers to sort of be late on the brakes into there, and while these are pro drivers, they'll want to gain every single position they can into that opening few corners, and we'll expect to see maybe a little bit of contact in there, but not between the top two being teammates.
Wow.
Yeah, I've said it now, haven't I?
Yeah, you've got commentator cursed that, so you would hopefully not, but there'll certainly be control in the front of this field, you know, looking for the optimal place to actually get going. Might wait till the very last moment to get it going, because obviously if they try to go too early, which it looks like they're parking up right behind the pace car, they'll leave it to the last minute so that nobody can get a slipstream down and going into the first corner. So we'll see what the getaway is from the start of the race, as we see Sven Newman at the front, Carl Winkler in second. You know, watch out for Bogdan Moldovan in 4th place coming through as well. So he's a very quick driver, and expect him out the front with Sven Newman. But Carl might be playing a little bit of back marker to Sven as we come in close to the start of this race. So as soon as the pace car comes in, it's down to the leader for when he's going to go away. So we're just going to watch the start of this race coming down now. The pace car will be coming in shortly, and then it's over to Sven Newman to decide when he wants to get this field in this race, 1 hour race underway, with a mandatory pit stop in the field. As they go now, a bit of a argy-bargy there between Bogdan, he gets into 2nd place, so Winkler losing out a little bit in 3rd place, but Sven Newman's actually covered that first line and still keeping the 1st place, so a bit loser there. Carl Winkler getting down into 3rd place. And getting back up into 2nd, so we managed to take Moldovan coming down the centre S's. There's a bit of a door rubbing there coming down onto the 1st straight there, so we're going to have a 3 car wide coming down into turn 4, which is a really tight turn to call. There's only one line, as you can see, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th all battling it out coming down into this corner, so keeping it nice and clean, 2x2. So the inside car will have a slight speed reduction compared to the outside car, so I would expect to see Carl Winkler maybe taking Moldovan coming up around to this corner, and he certainly will have the inside line coming around into turn 8 for the first lap.
Well, Carl Winkler is certainly doing the teammates' job here. He may have only just got back into 2nd place, but it's given Newman a 2-second lead halfway around lap 1 already. And the two Germans working together really nicely. Calamari up into 3rd place, and Moldovan is down into 5th, just ahead of his championship rival Penn. So not the best of starts there for the championship leader.
Unfortunately, obviously, it was in second place, but then coming round on the infield section, lost out to Satul Kamari and Winkler again. So currently sat in 5th place at the moment. But the biggest gainer on the grid at the moment is Marko Palic in 7th place, moving up 5 places, and Kurt Calamari moving up 4 places. So as we see them all training down into the first corner, so just getting the tyres warmed up till they get into temperature, and then we should start seeing some real lunges into that first corner, Dave.
Yeah, it's a perfect overtaking position. I've just noticed Chris Beats has dropped to the bottom of the timing tower, down to 29th position, losing 7 places. So that is a disaster of an opening lap for a guy who finished on the podium last time out. And we're just going to have a look at the replay here, see if we can see what happened. It was a bit of a chaotic start, to be honest. I'm not sure what happened when the cars went, and there he goes round. So yeah, that's why he's dropped to the bottom of the pile, and there could be some damage on that car. Hopefully not.
Yeah, definitely. we see the center S is biting back again. You know, it's one of them places. It's all or nothing corner. You've got to commit to that corner to get that. You come offline during that corner and you hit the grass, you could spin out, or you know, a lot of door rubbing going into that corner. But as we see here, Sven Newman and Carl Winkler doing an excellent job, as you were saying, Dave. 2.5 seconds out front at the moment, and just stretching that lead. So this battle for second place is going into Sven's hands here, and he's just been able to get away, being able to pick his line he wants to, accelerate where he wants to, whereas obviously Carl Winkler is just watching the people behind him and doing a little bit of defending, which is compromising some of his lines slightly coming into here. So at the moment, Sven's in a perfect position, and to have his teammate just behind him is the ideal scenario. Exactly,
it is, and if Carl is quick enough, he'll be able to hold on to second place until the pit stops. And then obviously the undercut comes into play. I'd expect them to pit Sven first if the team are going to do a similar strategy with both cars. But you just never know. The gap's out to 2.6 seconds at the moment, so it's just stretching out. I think it's another 7/10 just since the middle of the last lap. So expecting, that to carry on for now, and Winkler to basically be the equivalent of defending a 1-0 lead, but the two teammates would just be, driving in formation, keeping the rest of the field back, and just making sure Sven is not in any trouble whatsoever during this hour-long race. Yeah, so as we can see on screen now, we're watching the mid-race battle, so we can see all the cars nose to tail. Probably, if we look at the timing tower there, everybody is within like 3-4 seconds of each other going into this round. So it's just like this big long train, and we should start seeing some moves now. But the slipstream's sort of going to be nullified a little bit because they're in this long train. They're all going to be getting slipstream off each other, and it's all going to be down to the braking zone into the turn 1 as we're on board with Calamari looking behind us, Satou coming down the straight going down into turn 4, which is one of the corners that if you get it wrong, you can lose a lot of ground and a lot of time. So, picking your braking mark coming into this turn 4, which is a quite tight corner, then it opens out into turn 5. You need to maximise the speed to try and get it up to this uphill section, which is the start of the infield section of the track. Exactly right. But the turn 4 is quite a tricky one because there's a lot of room on the outside to sort of get it wrong as such, but if you're in somebody like Carl Winkler's position, if you get that wrong, you're going to be losing 2 or 3 positions. But this train of cars is pretty much feeding back to 27th position. I think there's about 19 seconds off the lead in 27th position is Alex Carrat. So anybody here is within 16 seconds of each other currently after 6 minutes, and if it stays like that till pit stops, it's going to be all change because somebody will roll the dice and get out of this train to use their pace in clear air.
Yeah, I mean, you can see on screen that, you know, in between the cars, there's probably like 1 or 2 car lengths all the way down the field, you know, so these pro drivers all racing nose to tail on each other, and it's just like a big long procession at the moment. But I think you're completely right, Dave, is that the pit stops are going to be the win or lose of this event. So somebody will come in that, you know, if you come in round about 28 to half an hour, half race distance, then you'll be okay. You can try and do that undercut. If you come in earlier than that, then, you know, you could be at risk of running out of fuel before the end of the race. So it's certainly down to the strategy, and I'm pretty sure that most of these guys will have spotters letting them know where people are, letting them know, you know, probably the optimal time to do a pit stop on here. But, you know, at the moment it's like a big procession going around this track with, you know, not really a lot of changes going on in the track. Everybody's sort of following each other at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's just sort of seeing how each other lie in this race. As we keep saying, they're pro drivers. It's a 60-minute race. You're not going to see them dive bombing each other in the first 7-8 minutes. But they know exactly what they need to do to get the best result out of this race. Just continuing to look down in 5th and 6th. Championship contenders are still all together, just, you know, psyching each other out at the moment, almost. As we can see, Grebstad is he challenging, or he's going through? It's a nice move there into the Senna S.
Yeah, definitely. There's the ideal optimal overtaking space coming into that Senna S, getting that inside line for turn 1, putting your car on the inside, which will push the driver out the outside, as we see. Grebstad not exactly liking that move, obviously compromise move, and he's trying his duck down on the inside, so we'll repay the favour running into turn 4. So we as we were for the last lap, but I'm pretty sure Grebstad will be looking at trying to get that place back into the inside section. So yeah, it's all to play for, and a lot of action hopefully start happening on track with people trying to get up 8 minutes and 43 into this race.
Exactly. I think Tabone was looking there, seeing the gap opening up just in front, and thinking, oh, this is sort of my chance to now close up the gap to them people in front. But Grebstad was having none of it and says that 9th place is his for the time being.
As we see that Monovan has managed to get in front of Satu on this lap, so he has now got up to fourth mate over his countryman, who's down to 5th place. So a little bit of a gap now, and obviously the lead is still 3.6, so he's gaining more and more time as Sven Newman out front. So it'll be interesting to see the lap time. So a 1:32.8 for Sven Newman and a 1:32.6. So another 4 tenths of a second faster for Sven Newman. So, you know, at the moment he's in the ideal position out front, as we're on board with Lewis going around the Senna S's, as we see how close they get around there. And, you know, we see the line there, the car on the inside, who I believe is Grenstad, gets that inside line, which forces out the car, which is Tyboni going in. But Tyboni trying to go up the inside into turn 4 as can he make it stick coming around that corner? Yes, he can at the moment. So a real battle at the moment with Tamboni and Grenstad for 9th and 10th, with Lewis Ward just sitting on the back of them, just watching what goes on. You know, probably thinking that maybe these two will come to blows in front of them, but at the moment the front two are keeping it drive, and very entertaining between the two of them, as we see here in Smart currently in 18th place.
Yeah, they're battling hard, but it's losing them time in front, and maybe they feel that their fight is for this 9th place at the moment in time. As you say, we're now looking at the train behind Italia and Sorensen, Smart, Beer, Yanka down there in 20th place at the moment. So some high-class drivers just in this section, and we're talking about a battle for 16th place.
Yeah, definitely. We will see these battles all over the field. And it'd be interesting, like we keep saying, for seeing where it all lies after these pit stops. You know, we had incidents last week where some of the drivers overshot their pit stops. Oh, as we see there, Kirk Kamai getting it all out of shape coming down the Senna S's, and that's going to be terrible for him. It's going to go right down the standings there, as we saw him in 3rd place, all the way down to 15th, and he'll probably end up being at the back of the grid, because because of this such long train, he's going to find it hard and difficult to get out. So he manages to currently get out in 22nd place. So you can see one little mistake on this track, and basically you lose a ton of places.
Yeah, it's always the way with the racing. If you've got it this close as it is, as we could just see there. Oh, I'm not sure whether there's a touch there on the inside, but round he went and.
Certainly looked like it was. Came down and Bogdanovic trying to squeeze up that inside, and unfortunately, Calamari was trying to squeeze in close, and unfortunately hit his back quarter. And when you hit him going round, when you turn into the left, then that is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to spin your car, and unfortunately, you know, he's going to be sat in his car now thinking, how can I go from third place all the way down? As we see Richard Watkins have a bit of an infield on the infield track of the track. Let's see, have a replay of that. So it's coming round into turn number 8. Oh, there's a car in front of him that's spun off as well. Oh, another car collecting him back. And yeah, just pushing it a little bit too much into turn number 9 and getting his back end out. So getting a little bit more action in the field, Dave.
Yeah, we are at the moment. Drivers starting to feel it's their chance to move up the field. We're going to see Alex Guerrette here having to defend from Chris Beats, who's now back up into 25th place. He's gone to the inside of the CNRS. Alex has seen him and just leaves him plenty of room. Maybe not that much room because it allows Reimer to come through. So I don't think he was planning to run that wide to let him through, but at least it has worked for him, as we have a few drivers also in the pits.
Yeah, Kurt Calamari obviously got a bit of damage from that incident, and we've got Richard Watkins here in the pits as well. So obviously they'll get their fast repair going in, but that'll put them well down. So they're currently in 28th and 29th position. So, you know, not the best day for them. Certainly for Kurt, who was currently up in 3rd place, doing really well. And then how quickly one lap can change things, and he's at the bottom of the field. So it's all change at the top, and one little incident can ruin your sort of race on here. Just a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. Improve your on-track performance with over 50 data packs for road and oval racing, including setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. Go over to virtualracingschool.com for more information on that. Really good service that they provide over there. But yeah, as we see on track now at Mayotte, so this battle even for, I think it's for 22nd place, so these 4 cars in a long trial, and the one and only Mercedes in the field, which is nice to see that most of the cars are being represented here with just the one Mercedes at the moment. So obviously everybody else feeling that the car of choice is certainly not the Mercedes for this championship.
No, sorry, I got distracted by the car going off in the background, which looks like Alex Guerrette. Just twice in a row getting the CNRS wrong. Firstly, letting too many cars past, and then the second time spinning out. So not the best of races so far for Alex Guerrette, who has fallen back out of the top 25. Sorensen is falling down the order as well now. He's dropped down to 21st. But we're now looking at Anger, Penn, Luch, Tabone, Ward. We could go on forever because they're all lining up. Here's a replay at the moment. This is the number 12 lead in this pack, so it's Sorensen. This is obviously what happened to him. Just ran wide. No, kept position there. So he's leading this train currently. Oh, and he just runs wide at turn 6, and luckily doesn't have any gravel or grass, so he can pull it back onto the circuit, but it certainly lost him 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah, I think he was certainly under pressure coming back from turn 4 because he took that corner really badly. So all the guys were right on his tail going through turn 6, and turn 7 is quite a treacherous corner. You know, it's an off-cambered corner, so you've got to let off a little bit of speed to try and do it. But unfortunately, carrying too much speed there, going round a little bit too wide into turn 8 as we're on board with Richard Kofenko with Matthias Beer, who's a very fast driver. Obviously returning from a long season out. I haven't seen him on any seasons for a little while, so maybe a little bit rusty coming back into the iRacing League session, but we know that he's a very fast driver, as we see here, fighting out at the moment for 18th, 17th place, or 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, all in a long train together. So we're getting these little pockets forming here, Dave, with the front pack, and then these little breakaways and little gaps starting to form between drivers.
Yeah, you'll obviously just get a battle later on, sort of further down the field, and that once that battle starts, that brings a split in the pack, as you can see on the live timing, and then you get these little pockets forming because people just start fighting each other because they feel like they want to make progress up the field. Speaking of which, I'm looking at the two leaders. The gap's just got to 5 seconds. Now, we were talking about Newman having a 2-second lead on the opening lap. So Winkler's certainly pegged him a little bit, but he's only pulled out 3 seconds in the last 15 minutes or so. So the teammate work was all done on lap 1, and it's giving Newman a nice little cruise at this moment. But he's going to have to keep pushing, or his teammate might just fancy this victory.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a little bit of a gap over Modovian in third place, like 1.5 seconds over him. So he's got a little bit of free hair. So we're seeing this big battle currently for 17th place with on board with Matthias Beer coming up onto the infield section into turn 6 and 7 and 8. So we'll see what can happen here. So he's obviously trying to get through Jank, who's a very quick driver himself. If you ever watch the Formula V, he's in that championship doing very well. So a very quick driver and very, very defensive as well. So, Matthias is trying to get past Jank at the moment, but then he's got to obviously watch Gafenku, who's also a very fast driver behind him. So, he's in this sandwich at the moment where he's trying to get past the car in front, but he's also got to try and defend from the car behind, or else he could see himself lose the paces. He sees a move there from Gafenku coming up on the inside of Bia coming into the last corner. So a great move there from Gafenku to take over from 18th place. But there'll be a drag race down there, and we're probably good to see this, to see the power of that BM and to see if it is quicker than obviously the Porsche coming down the straights, as we see him sort of neck by neck. But at the moment, Gafenku's got that inside line going into turn 1, as we see another car trying to get up on the inside of Bia and actually gets in. So that's Hereford getting on the inside of Beer into that corner. So Beer losing 2 places in the space of 2 corners there.
Yeah, not the best of, as you say, returns to racing for Beer. He's down in 20th at the moment, lost them 2 positions just then. And you'd hope that he can find his feet a little quicker and just push his way up the field, because we'd love to see him back on his top form.
Yeah, so currently nearly 20 minutes into this race at the moment, with another 40 minutes to go. So we'll be coming into the pit stop rounds within about 10 minutes, Dave. So we should see a lot of frantic action of who's going to come in the pits first. Are some of these front runs going to come in first, or is Sven Newman just going to watch what the rest of the field? I mean, he's certainly got the timing to be able to do that at the moment, as we're watching on stream at the moment, the battle for 5th place with Leon Penn and Mittal Satu in 4th place in front of him. So this big long train, as we see Gaten Anger, who is, like I say, Mr. Consistent, right on the back of Penn. So not making the space at the moment to have a look down into turn 1, but sort of biding his time at the moment. But he's on touch for the 4th place at the moment, with this big long train from 4th all the way down to about 7th.
Yeah, we're looking at the battle with Beer involved again here. Very close little pack. Feel like they should be trying to push forward. They're about 4 seconds off the top 6, and closing that gap just before pit stop. They may be undercutting, make plenty of time up, and maybe push them up into top 6. That shows how close his field is. Currently, after 21 minutes, we've got the top 16 covered by 20 seconds. So just that little second here or there you may gain before the pit stop. Have a quicker stop, as we can see Vidili going to the inside. You're gonna being passed there. Is that Sorensen trying to go up the inside in the twisty tight section, which we said obviously it's not the ideal overtaking place, but Sorensen's made that work, and he does clearly take the place before they head down the hill towards the final corner. So that was a nice little setup throughout the midsection, but we're now back to the fourth place battle as they head across the stripe for another lap down into the Senna S, and Anger is really piling the pressure onto Leon Penn.
Yeah, it looks like Penn's actually got past Anger on that last lap, because he was right behind Satul. So Penn managed to get around Anger on the last lap, and obviously this big long train now of cars coming down into turn 4. So Penn at the moment pressurising. He looks like he's certainly the quickest at the moment round out of this group of guys. Not by much. But certainly on a push at the moment, you know, currently lying at 3rd in the championship, and obviously wants to try and keep his place into the top half of the field. My mistake, he's 2nd in the championship at the moment, so he's certainly trying to get it, but there's a big gap now between 3rd place and 4th place, so you're looking at 3 seconds there. You're looking at two seconds between 2nd and 3rd, and a massive 6 seconds at the moment. Sven Newman at the moment, who's lapping round about 4 tenths a second faster than Carl Winkler at the moment. So just stretching that lead out at the moment, and he's got the whole track, Dave, to do the lines that he wants to. So he's got no pressure at all. He can look in his rear view mirror like you're seeing now, and not even seeing a car while he's coming round into the first corner. So, you know, at the moment, I bet he's cool, calm and collective in there, and he's just got to race his own race at the moment and make sure he hits every marker that he does, and gets that pit stop nailed, as we see our first car at the moment, 40 Red Harren Grinstad, trying to get that undercut at the moment, so see where he comes out and see where he ends up. So 14th is where he obviously came into the pits, see where he lies at the end of it. So an early pit starter at the moment with Grimstad, so he should just about make it to the end of the race, but he's certainly going to be on low fuel when it comes to it. So moving down to the bottom, as we see this battle now for 5th place with Gaten Anger right on the back of Leon Penn. So this is going to keep going all the way, lap after lap, and I think they'll just keep changing positions, Dave, at the moment. I think the only thing that's going to split the wall is we see Gaten Anger going right inside of Leon Penn there, and seeing a good shot of the engine and the exhaust.
Yeah, but you couldn't get much closer to that in this battle, and they're pretty much pushing each other along to head down towards the final part of the lap. I have just actually noticed on the timing screen that the car number 25, who was running 5th or 4th earlier on, is looking like he's out the race. He's 7 laps down now, and he did his pit stop and he hasn't come back out yet. So unless he's fully repairing a fully broken car, I believe he's probably retired from this race.
Yeah, as we see Gaten Anger here right on the back of Penn. No, I'm surprised he didn't actually try to make a lunge down then into turn 1. Obviously, Penn's got a really good braking marker for turn 1, and Gaten Anger currently at the moment not having the opportunity to come down the inside. So as normal from the lap before, so we've got Satul, Penn, Anger, Paulich, Taboni all in a long straight stride coming down into turn 4. So this big long train. So I think the only thing that's going to split this field up, Dave, is these pit stop strategies that we're going to come and see into action.
Exactly, and that's what the 4 drivers behind will be waiting for, as we see Alex Garat being passed there. Just trying to see who that was by. Possibly Don. Oh, it was Gribstad coming back through after his pit stop. He's got his tyres warmed up after the first lap, and his next target will be Sorensen and Minot, that we are now seeing on the screen battling for 23rd place. So a bit of clear air for him to push and hopefully gain them few positions as the others pit. But going back to this battle for 6th place at the moment, it'd be interesting. Sorry, 4th place at the moment. We're just trying to see whether anybody will take that risk and just pick that little bit earlier, risk that the tyres will stay on, but undercut this whole group, because there's at least 6 cars who possibly could do it, as we see a massive defence towards the wall. Nanga is looking for the move, doesn't quite make it down into the centre S. I think the block towards the wall just put him off it, because he knows he won't want to start making a dive here and there just yet. But if he can get through into 4th place and pull a little bit of a gap, it will defend him from any undercut. But there's no way through into turn number 4, but he's practically pushing that car along.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how close these cars are getting to each other. So, you know, he's going to be having a slipstream effect, but, you know, you can see how much anger wants that 4th place to try and close down the gap to Madovian in front of him in 3rd place. So, you know, desperate to get past Satil at the moment, which seems to be Odom. And, oh, there could be a good move here, but he's going to be on the outside line, going into kind of tucks back into him, gets a decent run out of this corner. And, you know, this is probably another optimistic passing place that we can, but, you know, the car in front just defending that inside line, which makes it very difficult for the cars behind. But, you know, as long as Gator can get a really good run out of this turn coming on to the start-finish straight, hopefully we'll be able to see a move. But, you know, don't count off Leon Penn behind him, because he's right behind Gator Nanga as well, as is Michael Pawlich and Brando Taboni. So this group, and I think exactly like you're saying, they're just nullifying each other at the moment. So it may pay someone's dividends to try and just undercut them at the moment, as we try and see Gate Nanga. But unfortunately, he's going to be on the outside line for turn 1 as it goes side by side, and thinks better of it and tucks back in behind Satil. So Satil at the moment doing a fantastic job of just holding up this group, as Brandon Toboni, as we said, from that group, the back of that group, trying to pit earlier, as well as Florin Beer. So this is where we start seeing the frantic pit action to see if you can get the undercut. But we're back with this race at the moment in 4th place, with Gatenanga trying to get up the inside into turn 4 and managing to get it done, pushing Satil out a little bit, and I think Penn's going to get the position as well. So yeah, unfortunately, Satil going from 4th place down to 6th place at the moment, and he's under pressure from Pawlich behind him, so he may lose 3 places, but I think he's going to keep that place because he's going to have the inside line into turn 8. So a bit of frantic lesson. So it shows how quickly he can go from the top of the leading group to fighting at the back of it at the moment, Dave.
Yeah, and there we go. I think he has fallen to the back of it. They're still side by side as they come up to this corner. Is he going to hold on? I don't think he will. And Pawlich may just have the inside line. Yes, he does, and he's through, but the cutback is on. No, it's not, and he has... Oh, it's a late dive there into Junkao, but he won't get the drive up the hill, I doubt. Or will he? And it's bringing into play John Derrick and Lewis Ward from behind, and they've now formed their own group of 4, as Penn and Anger have pulled away in front, as we've got Derrick as a good opportunistic move out there. Derrick, he saw he was catching the group and decided to dive to a pit just to try and gain that little bit of advantage without getting stuck in traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Satul obviously went in as well, so obviously probably a bit angry with the slightly over-aggressive move that he thought Gaten might have put on him in turn 4, and then just going into the pits, calm his nerves, calm down, and try to get that undercut action on these 4. Because but at the moment, I don't think it's going to work, Dave, because there's slight little gaps between the drivers at the moment, so they're not battling with each other. They're just trying to keep within that slipstream effect. So it might not pay off, but we'll see at the end of the round of pit stops.
Yeah, well, coming out of the pits, Satul has actually lost a position to Brandon Tabone. So Tabone, who was on the back of that group, pitted 1 lap later, and the undercut worked for him.
Yeah, definitely. Currently about 2 seconds ahead of Satul as well in 18th place, so he seems to be the big runner. So he might be the one to be watching for when the front runners come in, to see where he comes back into the field. So obviously made 2 seconds up on Satul, so we'll certainly see how it all unfolds. So getting into that into that window now of where all the pit stops will start happening. We've seen about 5 or 6 drivers come into the moment to see if they can get the undercut, but the majority of the drivers will be thinking, you know, I'm going to be pitting soon, so we will see a big influx of cars, I'd imagine, within the next 3 laps.
Yeah, we got Otto Heitler into the pits. He was in 11th. It's let Matthias Beer through, and Chris Beats is now back up into 16th place, but still owes us a pit stop. So he will fall back down the field, and I think he's going to have to be counting this as one of his drop scores in the title race, which is not good to have to count it already in this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Gaten at Anger at the moment has probably had the worst start to the season. You know, that first round was probably one to forget for him. At the moment, currently sat in 4th place, about 4.7 seconds behind 3rd place at the moment. So got a lot of ground to make up. But, you know, this is a good recovery drive from him, because I think he started down in 10th place. So he's up currently 6 places, and you wouldn't count him off trying to close that gap at the moment. So got a bit of free air in front of him to be able to do. Just a big shout out to all the YouTube viewers. Just if you're liking the video and you'd like to give us a like onto YouTube, that would be appreciated, and click the bell, because we have many series here on Apex Racing TV, probably twice every single day, ranging from every single car on iRacing, from Formula V up to the F3 cars. So please leave a like on the subscribe button and click the bell to get the notifications for next time we go live, so you don't miss any of the action. As we join back on with Palic in 5th place, as we see Bogdan Monovac from 3rd place taking that pit stop. So he's the first of the very front runners to see regards. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes back out on track, and if he's caught up in a battle with other cars around him, or if he does have some free space as he comes out onto the pit. So currently tucked in 14th place at the moment, so taking a little bit of time for the timing tower to get up to speed, and we'll see where he is as we see this battle here for Kasper Sorensen taking the inside line as he's trying to cut back a big battle here with Satu. That is beer, isn't it? Sorry, my mistake. That is beer. So, you know, beer in the action again with Sorensen trying to get that place as he goes on to the inside into turn 4, 3 car wide. So I think Beer's going to get this move done, because he's going to have the ideal line pushing out the car on his outside. So he covers off that inside line coming into turn 7 now and going into 8. So he's put his position of his car in the perfect place to not get the cut back done on there, Dave.
Yeah, I was just watching there, because these two cars looking at the 2 Porsches looking very similar. I think they're possibly teammates, are very close together, and I'm surprised that Gribstad hasn't been sort of ordered through, shall we say, because he is currently he's pitted, whereas Sorensen hasn't, and this is really holding him up and allowing Thomas Minot, Alex Grat to join into this battle. So we could say, Alex Grat near the back of a green Ferrari, getting sideways out of Drunk Cow, holding on to it, but certainly not the position he wanted to be fighting for today. We look back at Marek Pulic. Skrat actually comes into the pit, so he obviously had enough of those tyres.
It'd be surprising that normally these pro drivers won't change the tyres for an hour race. They'll just take on fuel. I'd be very surprised if any of them do take tyres during this hour race. It normally just in to get fuel, so he might be just getting to the limit of where his car is. It's the ideal opportunity. It's just over half race, 35 minutes, 25 minutes to go, and this is sort of the time that we would expect to see sort of the cars coming in as we're watching Palic. So Sorensen obviously had an incident there. I'm pretty sure Dennis in the production will give us a nice good replay of what happened there as we see cars down. So these two cars, although they look similar, they're not in the same team. Just got the same standard livery on the team. So they are, as we see, coming down into turn 4. Easy mistake to do, and spinning around, and he's in the worst position possible, because that's a really fast corner. So he's going to find it quite difficult to try and get out of there, and hopefully he's managed to find a space as he has there to get out on track. So luckily he had a gap behind him to get him out, because he could have lost a lot of time down there. As we see Lewis Ward, so we see a lot of cars coming into the pits. We've got Lewis Ward at the moment, Richard Gafenku coming into the pits for his one and only pit stop. So it'd be interesting to see. So the top runner at the moment who's had his pit stop is Bogdan Modovan, who's currently in 12th place at the moment, with the second one being John Derrick, who's in 14th place, who's currently had their pit stops. And then everyone behind him has pretty much done their pit stop as well. So it's the top 11 at the moment are still yet to pit out on track, with Sven Newman at the moment just stretching his lead even more, 8.4 seconds over Carl Wilkler. So, this has been an imperious, drive-in from Sven, and he very much got it, Dave, from the very first corner, getting that 2 seconds pull out over his teammates. And I wonder if that was a bit of tactics on behalf of the two teammates to try and let him get away, as we see Ostad Hereford getting off around the infield side of the section. So coming down into turn number 9, coming out there, coming into the tight turn of turn number 10. And unfortunately, the car, what was that? Surely that was basically, trying to get up that inside line, and unfortunately T-boning Hereford coming in. So not the best one, as we see our leader currently sat in the pits. First and second in the pits. So obviously a planned strategy for the two teammates, and currently coming out in probably 4th place. As we can see, Beer there just coming around the corner, so he may take him down the straight, but certainly going to be in the top 5. So Beer will be right on the tailpipe of Sven Newman at the moment, but Beer is still yet to pit. So obviously Sven Newman is the top of the pitters at the moment, and we'll see where afterwards how much his lead is when he stopped over again. But Winkler currently lost a little bit of time there, it looks like, if you look at the timing tower.
It does look like he's lost a little bit of time to Newman, but the gap to Bogdan just behind is still about 2 seconds, which it was before the pit stop. So that undercut really hasn't worked for the championship leader, and he's going to have to do his fighting on track as Winkler gets back up to speed and try and keep a 1-2 for the team.
Well, currently we have Gaten Anger, who's in 1st place, still yet to pit. Marko Paulic in 2nd place, who still yet to pit, and Kieran Smart. So the top 3 are still yet to pit on there, and they're not that far ahead of Sven Newman. So you can sort of see the time that Sven has got over these guys, as you see Paulic and Smart coming into the pit lane, and Beer as well as Hereford. So it's only Gatenanga in the top one that's still staying out there, and he is very good at fuel management within these races. And as we saw there, he was behind the cars for a lot of the race, so would have been saving fuel out the slipstream of the car in front. So be interesting to see. I would expect him to come in within a lap or 2 laps. I wouldn't imagine he would stay out any longer than that, but you never know, and it might help him out at the moment, because it seems to be, with all these cars coming out and jostling back for position, that he might have free air to be able to put some fast laps in.
Yeah, it looks like he will be able to push on forward. In the battle for, so we say, 4th place, we had Situ up in 4th, defending very well against a row of about 8 cars at some points. But now he's down in 10th place. So his pit stop strategy really hasn't done him any favours. And he's going to have to start fighting through, because he's now lost 4 places from his grid position. Whereas we can see somebody like John Derrick, his pit stop strategy of pitting on lap 19 really did work, and he's moved up to 6th place overall.
Yeah, it just shows that as we see Gatenanga coming in on this lap, as I thought he might do. So the big thing for he's fighting with is Moldovan in 4th place. So he was about 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds behind Moldovan. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes out how close he is to the 4th place driver at the moment, as we watch him coming down the start-finish straight. So we can see Gatenanga is on the pit exit at the moment. So we see Bogdan Modaman, so he is going to be out, but I think the time may be a lot closer than the 3 seconds, as we just see them both going around the turn number 3 after the center S's. So certain Gaten Anger is now a lot closer onto the back of Moldovan into 4th place. So he certainly looks like he has been the big winner out of that round of pit stops there, Dave.
Certainly, just running that bit longer, saving a bit of fuel when he was in a fight, and then using that fuel up when he's in clear air has certainly worked for him. Just looking further back, Chris Beats in 22nd did take his pit stop, but has got a lot of work to do well, he won't get anywhere near his podium from last time out, but can he get up into the top 20 or the top 15 at least, just to get a respectable result on the board?
Yeah, definitely. If you're wondering about our lovely overlay on our screen, it's kindly sponsored by SDK Gaming. SDK Gaming adds a virtual live HUD to iRacing, showing timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini maps, fuel calculators, and more. Stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Broadcast your lead and series with SDK Gaming. Syncs your commentary team cameras, focus drive, and overlay with your broadcaster. And adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. So if you fancy having a go, it's a 14-day free trial on SDK Gaming. Go over to www.stk-gaming.co.uk and try out your 14-day trial and see how good it is for yourself. So yeah, it really helps us in the commentary box, this overlay, and obviously our broadcaster Dennis, with his excellent pictures on stream, helps us immensely when it comes to broadcasting the stream. So head over there and give it a try, as we see John Derrick trying to fight it out with Taboni in 6th place. So, you know, after the round of pit stops, which everybody has done now, you know, the fighting is a lot closer, and you know, there's some big winners and big losers. So Sven Newman at the moment, obviously nearly a 10-second lead. Considering Winkler was in the pits behind him, it's surprisingly, obviously Winkler must have been caught up coming out the outside. John Derrick, like you're saying, having an excellent pit stop, pits slightly earlier, and now is finding himself fighting out for 6th place, and the 5th place is not that far in front of him. So he's certainly profited out of the pit stops, being 6 places up. But the big one that's moved up in the field, Dave, is Richard Gafencu, you know, currently up 15 places in 13th. So he's massively profited out of the pit stop strategy that he's had, and he's had a fantastic race. A poor qualifying for a man of his standards, but has certainly made up for it in the race.
Certainly has, and I've got a feeling he may have started from the pit lane, because I saw a car coming out the pit lane just as the first lap was going on, as Gribstad has come into the pits again. So his early pit stop doesn't seem to have worked, and he needs to come in, whether it's fuel or damage, I'm not sure which, but that has certainly said goodbye to any chances of a top 10 for him. As we look back at Callum Garton now having to defend from Florian Beer. Beer certainly gaining all the action, and we can't miss his car in them colours, but he is gaining all the action today and is in a 3-car battle here with Richard Gaffoon.
Yeah, and you are exactly right there, Dave. Richard Gafencu did indeed have a pit lane start for this race. So, you know, from starting from the pits, being in 13th place and on the, you know, with a chance to get up to 11th place is an outstanding drive for him, and he should be pleased with his result if he ends up at the front of this small pack that's fighting out on screen at the moment.
Certainly, I mean, he'd be pleased to get up to 13th, I think, but he's got more drivers just ahead, and top 10 only 5 seconds ahead of this, so it's certainly still time to close that down in the last 15 minutes. I'm just looking at the live timing, which you can head across to the website to watch, and Sven Newman is the only driver to have hit a 1:31 here today, and he did that very early on in the race, and then he's just consistently put in 1:32s all race long. And well, I think it's been dominant, really. Helped by his teammate on the opening lap having a battle, but since then he's still pulled away from field, and I can't see a lot stopping him winning this race now.
No, not being 10 seconds ahead. You know, he seems to have his lines nailed down. You know, putting in the constant fast lap on the last lap, he was 3/10 faster than Carl Winkler in second place. So every single lap, he's just stretching that lead out a little bit more. So I think he's sort of certainly been the driver of the day for Interlagos as Sven Newman. You know, making up for his unfortunate incidents in race 1 with his pit stop strategy that, you know, put pay to him getting right at the front, but made a really valiant effort and coming 4th in the first race. But, you know, this race, in race number 2 here at Interlagos, he's driven it to perfection, I think. You know, and Carl Winkler behind him, so it's nice to have the teammates 1 and 2 at the moment, which will put them in really good stead for the team championship, which obviously there's a top prize for as well. So, you know, not only are they going to get some really good points haul, they're going to obviously take really good team championship points, as we see Moldovan here with Anger caught up with him now. So a real big battle here for 3rd place. And Anger seems to have the bit between his teeth after that first round disappointment, and really trying to make up for it at the moment, and pressurising Moldovan into making, as we see, a little bit of bump drafting coming around turn 4, so close to the car in front. So Moldovan will just have Anger all over his rear view mirrors at the moment, and just wondering when he's going to make his move.
I think Moldovan knew he was there without the little love tap on the rear of the car, but Anger certainly been flying in these last few laps, and sort of as well, Moldovan has been dropping back from Winkler. He was only 1 second behind after pit stops, and he's now 4.5 seconds behind, so that gap has opened up, and I think he's was trying to settle for a good 3rd place and a podium to make it 2 podiums out of 2, but Anger really doesn't want to let him rest, and this battle will go on till the line, I think. But Anger was just over a second, sorry, just under a second quicker on the opening lap, and he's now in the tow. Championship leader going to the inside, defending as always, but you can, if you're quick enough, go around the outside of the Senna S. But I don't think it's going to happen this time for Anger, and he's going to have to try and force our early championship leader into a mistake.
Yeah, coming down here, he's got the perfect opportunity, and now really in his slipstream coming down, and so he just needs to outbrake him on turn 4. So I expect him to dive on the inside. No, keeping it clean. So, you know, he doesn't really need to push it. They've got a far enough gap over Leon Penn behind. Currently he's sat at 2 seconds. You know, Gaten's already found that he's faster lap over Moldovan, so it just he just needs to buy his time as we watch a bit of door rubbing here between Richard Gafencu and Garton for 12th and 13th place, with Gafencu now getting up to 12th place, so a little bit of a gap over himself and Beer of about a second, but, you know, managing to get them places up, as Kasper Sorensen seems to be having a terrible round, Dave. So he's already spun off, and unfortunately spun off again, and it's in the worst place. You know, it's the last corner. He's going to lose all that speed going down that start-finish straight.
Yeah, it's not the best place to spin off, but then again, it's not been the best of days, so if he wants to get all his spins out of his system, he may as well while he's here. And he pits actually now, so I don't know whether he'll pull in for good or whether he'll try and finish the race here. But we're just looking at Anger still all over back. Oh no, he's through. Sorry, he's past Moldovan. And will he be able to use his pace to pull away? Because Leon Penn was closing up at about half a second a lap as we look at replay. And this happened in the midsection of the circuit while we're watching Sorensen. Was there a love tap? Maybe. And he runs out wide and he goes for the outside line. This is brave stuff, keeping it pinned and into the final corner. He's just on the brakes and already through. And I think, to be honest, I think Moldovan thought yeah, I've got to let you go on this one. It's a bit too much to risk anything else. As we now look at Lewis Ward down in 8th place at the moment on the back of his pack, and that leads up to 4th place if he can make his way through all of them positions. John Derrick just in front in. Oh, and we've got an off there for Grossman down in 21st. It's a weird place to go off there because he was on the outside of the entry of the corner. We'll see in this replay what happens. Is there going to be contact? Oh, yes, there is. That was contact, I think, with Thomas Minot, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was, and the unfortunate, and his car will be damaged. He'll certainly have to come in with to get that pit stop. So we can see here now we've got Richard Kafenko right on the back of Florian Beer. So still on that charge, trying to get into the top 10. I think he's probably just going to get 11th place if he can get that, because we've only got 8 minutes left of this race, and the Satu is, I think, too far out in front, 8 seconds ahead of this chasing group here as he tries to dive down the inside, but he's going to be on the outside line. But what he will do is get that cutback to get that extra run of speed down to turn 4. So you'll see this overspeed coming down here, down the straight, coming into turn 4, and he's, Florian B is trying to push him out right to get that inside line, but giving him enough space to get on that inside line, and great positioning there from Kafenko. But Bier's not finished now, trying to get around the outside of turn number 5 and running up and keeping that place. So great drive there from Bier. But great respect between the two drivers. Florian could have come over and cut his nose right off, but gave him the space to go into turn 4 and still manages to keep it going around turn 5. So great racing between these two, between Gelfer and Bier. Kafenko and Bier. So yeah, really great racing, and like we say, Kafenko's having a really good round, currently up 16 places from his pit lane start they had as he's trying to come round the outside of the corner. But obviously that pass we saw from Gaten Anger and Moldova and Dave, I think that corner there that we just watched these two battling it out, he went a little bit too wide. Obviously, I think Anger obviously pushed him out wide by trying to get that inside line, but what that did do was compromise his line coming out of the fast right-hander, which obviously gave Anger the overspeed coming down there to get the pass done. So I think that was a really well-timed, and it almost seemed like constructed move from Anger to try and push Moldovan out wide onto that corner, but it certainly paid off as we're watching these two nose to tail coming down as Kafenko gets the move done on Bier coming down into the center S's.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, racing drivers with on iRacing, with out in their cars themselves, they'll always try and construct a manoeuvre 3-4 corners beforehand, and that was a perfect example of it before, when Anger made the move up onto the podium. But I think that might be as far as his charge is going to get, because he's not quite quick enough to close the gap to Carl Winkler. So the teammates at the front are just having to cruise their way home at this stage, but the battle for third is still well on, as we see they're now trying to turn the favour to Kafenko.
Yes, definitely these two on track of fighting it out at the moment for 11th place, and probably go all the way to the line, and they seem to be not letting the guys behind them catch up too much. So although they're battling really hard, they're keeping high pace, which is keeping Hirtala behind them in 14th, 13th place, and keeping that little bit of a gap there as Florian BS, we see him go a little bit back. So a quick shout out to another one of our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy. Apex Racing Academy provides 29 data packs, setups, track guides, and it's fully integrated with virtual racing school, weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Please head over to www.apexracingac.com to find out more about all the brilliant offers that they have to make the immersive driver within iRacing so much easier. So as we're watching currently, 5th place with Leon Penn, with Brandon Toboni just behind him, so pushing him all the way. So we've got a battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, and then all the way down the field from 10th, 11th and 12th that we've been watching. So all throughout the field, I think the only one sort of in no man's land at the moment is Satul in 10th place. So he's about 5 seconds behind Paulich, and then he's about 7 seconds. So he's sort of in no man's land at the moment. Obviously got a back marker there for company, but certainly on the timing tower, he's sort of in the middle of nowhere at the moment. So he just needs to keep it going round and he'll get his top 10 positions.
Yeah, he certainly deserves a top 10 after his defending in the opening laps. We certainly saw that he didn't quite have the pace to hold on to that 3rd and 4th places as we were going round, and he had a train of cars going down to about 24th. So to be running 10th still after a pit stop, I think he'll be quite happy to come home with a 10th place there. But his pace has sort of stayed stationary for now. As we go back to a battle of Leon Penn and Brandon Tabone, and the gap seems to have just sneaked out a little bit there, and with about 4 minutes to go, I think that might be a battle that goes all the way to the line from 5th, 6th, 7th and possibly 8th if the fight starts.
Yeah, definitely. But I think what's not in doubt is Sven Newman out front, 11.3 seconds ahead of Carl Winkler in 2nd place at the moment. And even Carl Winkler in 2nd place, he's currently 6 seconds ahead of Gaten Anger in 3rd place at the moment. The battle certainly seems to be for 3rd and 4th, but Sven Newman at the moment 11.4, and he's just extending his lead lap after lap over Carl Winkler. So, you know, for me, the race was run on that first corner where Winkler basically held up Moldovan into that corner and gave Sven Newman a 2-second lead. That gave him a chance to relax and then basically just start watching his lines and making sure he hits all the apex. So it almost gave him a free from the start of the race. But, you know, fair credit to Sven in that he still had a lot to do. He had about 59 minutes still to do the racing, but lap after lap he's constantly been, and like you said, Dave, he's the only driver at the moment currently hitting the 131.90. So the rest of the drivers all in the 32s.
Exactly. It was one of the first lappers we see Florian Beard trying to go up the inside, not quite making it through. This battle still continuing on. But Sven Newman, yeah, the opening laps certainly won. You can look at it as won the race, but he's 2 tenths clear in qualifying. He took the pole position. He's got the fastest lap. Like we say, the only man in the hit 31. Been consistently in the 32s when everybody else has been 32, 33s. I think he possibly would have won this anyway, even unless somebody had got in front of him and really held him up. But it proves that the team have really got the setup down to a T for this circuit in them BMWs running 1 and 2 and not really being challenged throughout the race.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're watching on stream here the battle for 13th place between Hetala and Matthias Beer, with Kieran Smart not that far behind. So sort of a 3-car race, but you can certainly see on screen that Matthias Beer is pressurising Hetala quite a lot coming into the last straight. But as we look here now, we're looking at Sven Newman coming into 11.7 seconds. Is he going to get round, or is this going to be the last lap of the race?
I would say this is going to be the last.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a last lap. It's almost like a victory lap for him if he could slow down so much, being 11.8 seconds ahead of 2nd place. But certainly that battle for 3rd place at the moment is hotting up. So we'll watch Sven coming over the line to take a well-deserved race win, I think, of round 2 of the GT Trophy Pro Series, which puts him in good stead. So he's going to be quite close to Moldova, and he needs to get that. In fact, they're going to be on equal points if they finish where they are, because it'd be role reverse, where Newman finished 4th in the first race and Moldovan finished 1st in the first race. So it's sort of going to be role reverse, with Leon Penn, who's not far behind either. So the top runners in the championship are certainly up in the top 5 at the moment, as we watch Sven Newman coming across the line to take his first race win of this season in the GT Trophy Pro Ring with an imperious drive, and his teammate from Course Sim Racing 2 coming behind to take the second place. So that's a 1-2 for the teammates in this championship as we wait for the third place, who's going to be Gatenanga, with Moldova just taken in 4th place.
Yeah, great drive by Newman and Winkler. Anger really making up for that poor first round, and Moldovan seemed pretty happy with 4th place. And any champion will always say, you know, you need to score good, but you need to score consistently. And the 1st and the 4th from the opening rounds, I'm sure he won't be too disappointed with that. 5th place was John Derrick. Lewis Ward come along across the line in 6th. Brandon Tabone and Leon Penn both lost 3 positions from the grid position, but finished in the top 8. Bulich is in 9th, and then it's 10th place for Situ.
Yeah, so obviously we see there the top runners in there. So if you like what you see, guys, then please look at our social media page. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Apex Racing TV to hear news about all the series that goes on within Apex Racing TV, and also, you know, hopefully some drivers go in there as well and discuss some of the races. But as we saw here, Dave, you know, an imperious drive by Sven Newman and Carl Winkler. They sort of had their tactics nailed down from the start, got the 1-2, which is the ideal position for them to, and managed to make it stick throughout the race.
Exactly, they got the setup absolutely perfect on both cars, and they seem to be able to pull away at ease. Completely different to the opening round, where we had one of the closest finishes you'll ever see. And while it's very easy to give Newman the drive of the day, and I think he deserves it, I think Anger is running in a very close second for the drive of the day in my book. Up 7 positions, John Derrick up 8. So certainly drivers making their mark early on in this championship.
Yeah, let's not forget Richard Kafenku obviously started pit lane and finished the race in P11th, up 17 places. And obviously starting from that pit is a really big hindrance to the drive, because you've got to wait for the whole field to go past you before you can go. So you're already going to be miles behind the track. But, you know, one of the big losers out of that base was obviously the race 3 winner in the race 1 third place, Chris Beats, who had a pretty terrible round, finishing in P19. So, you know, he's going to be coming down that leaderboard, but, you know, we'll still be taking some valuable points. And that's the thing, if you're within 2 laps of the driver, the first place driver, you still score points. So, you know, it's all about trying to finish the race. You're not always going to get it your own way in these races, and it's managing your expectations, but also making sure that you finish to score them points, because there's nothing worse than getting in a race, getting hit out, and then deciding I'm not going to carry on, because you're just losing valuable points.
Exactly. For Chris Beats, finishing 19th and looking at his best lap time, it was a 33.04. which wasn't, you know, he was one of the first drivers not to get into the 32s all day. Was that due to damage on that opening lap? It could very well be, but he'll be quite happy just to get into the top 20 after that, especially with this whole field of pro drivers.
Yeah, definitely. So some really entertaining racing here at Interlagos for round 2 of the GT Pro. Just going to see if any of the drivers are going to come into the interview area at the moment. So we'll just give them a couple of minutes to see that. So, you know, we've got, I think where the next round is, I've got it on me. I've got it somewhere. We'll have a look at that. But obviously the next round coming up next week on Apex Racing TV at the same time, along with many other series. We've got loads of series going on here on Apex Racing TV. So Tuesdays we have the GT3s. Wednesdays we've got a brand new Radical series going to start shortly. Thursdays is the NASCAR trucks, which is about midway through the season at the moment. Fridays we have a brand new Stadium Super Trucks going on the road, which is extremely good fun on Fridays. On the Saturdays we got F3s going around the track. And on Sundays, we got GTE. So pretty much covering every single car and every single day. We also have many other streams going on. If you head over to apexracingtv.com/schedule, you can see all the live broadcasts that we're going to produce. And if you fancy coming to race in these series, then head over to apexracingleague.com and have a look at some of the championships. They're all open for new drivers. So please, if you feel that you want to get out on the track and fancy tipping your hat against the pro drivers either in this series, obviously like you said, you need a minimum I rating of 2.2, but there's going to be an alternate series of this, the GT AMS, which is obviously catering for all those below 2.2 coming up after this championship in about 10 weeks time. So head over to apexracing.com to have a look. But unfortunately, Dave, it looks like we're not going to get any interviews today, which is a little bit disappointing. So all the drivers probably trying to calm themselves down after what was a hectic race there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Sven Newman probably had time to finish the race, get back to the pits and jump into the waiting area before some of them finished with his dominance. But just to answer your question, it's Montreal next week, so a completely different circuit. You know, we've had the wide spaces of Daytona. It's narrowed the track a little bit and brought similar layout to Interlagos. Now we go to Montreal, which one mistake and you can be in the wall very easily, and especially with a grid of about 25 plus drivers, you could end up with some action all the way to the flag in that hour-long race.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of them tracks. A lot of these tracks are divided into two, really. You've got some really long straights, but you've got some tricky corners in Montreal. Certainly they probably cast it as the second and third corner going into the fourth and fifth. That's a really tight section, and you need to make sure that your lines are pitted well, as well as the hairpin coming down before you start the last straights. So, you've got plenty of corners, and the way these drivers are, Dave, it's going to be an action-packed race. As we saw here tonight, we saw some overtaking on places that we weren't maybe expecting people to overtake cars on the track. So I'm really looking forward to that race, which is next week.
Exactly, and I think strategy will come into it a lot more. You haven't got the wide expansive spaces to make the overtakes. Not that Montreal will certainly be, shall we say, a dull race. It's always action-packed at Montreal because you've got the heavy braking zones. But a little bit of strategy, get out the traffic, might just work for you a little bit more than, say, here or Daytona. So it'd be certainly interesting to see, but no drivers currently wanting to talk to us for some reason.
Right, well, that's just the way it is at the moment, but no, it's great. So what are your final thoughts really on tonight's race, Dave, and obviously your first real commentating within the team?
Well, firstly, it was great to be onto a series and start to get to know the drivers. I apologise for some of my pronunciation. I saw it was mentioned in the chat about a couple of them, but certainly I will brush up on that. But what a great race, and a dominant race by Newman. I think we saw some great battling, great respect between the drivers, and I can't wait till Montreal really now.
Yes, definitely. So that's the end of round two, with Sven Newman being imperious driver 11 seconds ahead of his teammate Carl Winkler. So a great day for Core Sim Racing 2. My name is Andrew Thompson. I've had the pleasure of having Dave Whitehouse next to me, who will join me next week, as well as Dennis Branch in the production. Big shout out to our 3 sponsors: SDK Gaming, Virtual Racing School, and Apex Racing TV. So we got the delights of Montreal, the Circuit de Villeneuve, next week at the same time. So I hope to see you there. From the commentary team tonight, good night.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.